12 past 8. Let's talk about the situation in the States, because in just under a couple of hours, one of the 3 American women who endured the kidnapping that spanned 11 years will tell her story on network TV in the States. Michelle Knight will be a guest with talk show host Dr. Phil. The interview has already been taped. Scott Taylor from 19 Action News has been following the story for us. He's with me now from Cleveland, Ohio. Scott, always good to talk. Good morning.
Good morning, Marcus.
Do we know the motivation for Michelle Knight to do this story with Dr. Phil?
Well, there was a deal in place with Amanda and Gina, the 2 other women. They are writing a book, and Michelle Knight was on board with that. But then she, the last couple of weeks, broke away and decided to do something on her own. And I think that's when Dr. Phil's producers happened to be contacting her. They made a deal. Dr. Phil flew into Cleveland about 2 weeks ago and spent maybe 24 to 48 hours with Michelle, including going to the Family Dollar store where Ariel Castro first picked her up. And you'll see some of that in the interview later today.
She was paid for this?
Well, you know, Marcus, you're in the media, I'm in the media. I think anybody who has this kind of story is probably going to look to make some type of monetary gain from it, and I don't think anybody's going to hold that against Michelle, Amanda, or Gina for the 10 years of abuse that they went through. I hope that Dr. Phil paid her millions of dollars, but, you know, I think she's at the very least a millionaire now.
And I mean, extracts have been leaked from what she will talk about. And when you hear these details, it seems a miracle in some ways you could even contemplate going on TV and talking about it. These people, to me, seem to be faring very, very well when you look at the ordeal they've been through.
Yeah, I think I think all the 3 girls are doing pretty well right now, adjusting, and believe it or not, I think Michelle was the first one who was actually out publicly. I know everybody saw Amanda Berry at a summer concert, but, you know, we never really had a good picture of Michelle at the age of 32. She disappeared when she was in her 20s in 2002. And also, no one knew that she was just a very tiny woman. So I'm being told that she was out and walking in the community shortly after she was released from the house, and nobody really recognized her. So I think she's had a time to adjust much better than Amanda Berry and Gina. And again, she was very close with Gina, but for whatever reason, she decided to go out on her own. And I think, Marcus, it's because she's very, very independent. Remember, she was the only survivor of the 3 who decided to go to Ariel Castro's sentencing and confront him, and she definitely did that.
Of course, everyone wants the best for these people. I mean, after the ordeal they have been through, Scott, are the media leaving them alone? I mean, it seems to me from what you're saying, obviously I've got no idea of Ohio, but it seems as though these people, there is a respectful barrier around these people. Is that right?
I think there's always been somewhat of a respectful barrier. Amanda and Gina had family. Amanda had a sister. Gina, of course, has Nancy and Felix. Their parents, so I think that has been true. I'm not surprised, though, that Michelle probably made the first deal, because when she came out of that house, she really rejected her family. They really haven't spoken a lot. She was really out on her own, and I've learned that she was actually housed at a home outside of Cleveland, really from almost day one. There wasn't speculation that she was spending time living with Gina and her parents, but I don't think that's true. She was out in this undisclosed location. We did a really good job hiding her away from the media. But let me tell you, I've had international authors, publishers, magazines from all over the world contact me, trying to get in contact with these 3 women. And I've even had a little bit of a protective barrier around them. I've never knocked on their door, and I'm pretty proud of that. I have spoken to Gina's family a little bit and have talked to people close to Michelle. And I also want to tell you, Marcus, something that I broke last night. Michelle has decided to change her name. She's already gotten that done in the court documents, so she's changed her name. So I think that's another of her signs that she's not the woman that was in that house and walked out of that house last May.
I guess the question why I'm asking you about the media attention to her, it's not a situation where she feels that she's duty-bound to do Dr. Phil because then she thinks the media will leave her alone. That you don't think that's part of her thinking?
No, I don't think that's part of the thinking. I think the thinking is that this is going to release her from a lot of the pain, I think, telling her story. I think her people have come out, and Amanda and Gina's people have come out and said there's a lot of misinformation out there, that we're not getting all the true story of what happened in that house and how they dealt with everything in that house. And I think that's what you're going to hear tonight with Michelle. And, of course, Amanda and Gina are writing a book. They'll probably do interviews after that. There's talk of a movie. So I think this is something that they definitely want to do. And it looks like they're going to be paid to do it as well. And I don't think anybody's going to blame them for that.
And just quickly, we know what she talks about today on Dr. Phil?
Well, she talked about being the most hated in the house. Remember, she was the first one who was taken, then Amanda, and then Gina. There's a hierarchy in the house. I think she was the first one taken and probably the first one to leave. I know my sources told me when Ariel Castro was caught, he was trying to figure out a way to get rid of all of them. I don't know if that was releasing them or doing something even more sinister. But she also talked about when she first was caught, Ariel Castro tying her up and putting her up on the wall like a trophy. And we broke some of that news when she first came out, but she's starting to corroborate some of the information that we had initially about what went on in that house.
Thanks so much, Scott Taylor, 19 Action News. The show screens 11 o'clock in the States today. I'll find out what time it's on in New Zealand. It's 8:19.